This is continuation to part 1 of web interview. I hope you will enjoy. Please keep watching.
Now, so another way is to charge a car wirelessly is called dynamic charging. The
Mm-hmm.
coils connected to the electric cables are used to provide the power, and these are buried in the road. So essentially, for that, it was on a static way. So static means that there is no motion, and dynamic means that if these coils, as you can see, are like they are in the road, and the car is having a pad in the bottom of
Mm-hmm.
the chassis, and as the car moves across as the car moves across the road, the electromagnetic flux from each coil is linked to the secondary coil of the car, and as it moves across the road, it is getting charging each way,
Okay, this
each time.
also seems
So it is,
good. Hmm.
yeah, this is very good actually, because it ensures that even if while moving only, we are increasing the range of the vehicle rather than having to stop every time to charge the vehicle.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So advantage is that it has low standing charging time,
Yes.
low battery DOD. So DOD is essentially depth of discharge, which means that how much the battery is discharged
Mm-hmm.
for a particular. So for example, depth of discharge, if the depth of discharge is 20%, that means that the battery is charged till 80%.
Okay.
And then there is a smaller battery size,
Okay.
uh, because then we don't need off-board on-board, that we can reduce in size, because if it is in motion, then we can charge quickly. So there are small components are needed. Now, so there is a very high cost of investment, obviously, because you are going to lay essentially multiple electromagnetic primary coils. Then we require a lot of copper, lot of uh,
That's true.
other
Yeah.
investment. Then, if there are any foreign objects, coil structure change, coil misalignment, then the charging will efficiency will decrease, because if there are any foreign objects in between the car and the yeah, then the electromagnetic flux linkage will be reduced, and there will be a lot of power losses, and even if efficiency will decrease. And now, lastly, this is a very important point, because not every car has the same makeup. So if they have to allow this, then we have to have a universal coil type, and this is not easy to have everybody get the same coil type, they because as we know, for different types of applications, we require different electric vehicles, and therefore we use different kinds of charging methods. And to ensure this particular charging method, we have to have universal coil type all through, which is
Yes,
a
yes.
challenge, which is a huge challenge to ensure that
Yeah.
everybody uses the same coil type.
Yes, yes, yes.
So now battery swap is the last general method that is used. So the third
Mm-hmm.
method of EV charging is essentially battery swap. It works on the basis of switching out the depleted battery and replacing the same with a full battery. So essentially, after this is like filling in petrol only. After
That's it.
we after we
Yeah.
finish up the petrol in our car, so essentially, instead of finishing the petrol with the batteries depleted, after it depleted, we go into a particular station. In the station, there is a switching way, and an automated process will remove the battery
They will
and
replace
switch
with a
in the
new one. Yes, yes.
new value. Yeah, and then the depleted batteries are charged in the station for later deployment. So essentially, the removed battery, as you can see, these are here, and then it is charged in the station, so that the different car can use it.
Yes, yes, yes. That is also
Yeah.
good one. But like you said, petroling only again.
Yeah. So now essentially the battery swap also requires a very foolproof way to estimate the battery state of health, to check for its usage pattern, and to ensure that only authorized vehicles and charging stations can charge it. So essentially the battery state of health should be appropriately determined, and we should also ensure that we know the exact usage pattern of the battery, because if we are going to use it in different cars over a long period of time, then we have to know when the battery might fail, or how much it will take for it to continue working. There are a lot of factors involved in
Yes,
ensuring
yes.
that the battery is consistently working for all cars, not just the one car that it is placed in.
Yes, yes, yes. That's true.
So the advantage is that there is no range anxiety. So essentially, if I feel that okay, I have this battery is getting depleted, I just go in the shop and replace it and come back out without any requiring any time. So it is quick and easy. Essentially, refilling a engine car tank with petrol. and there are longer charging times available for the EV battery compared to
Yes.
fast DC charging. So
Yeah.
essentially, we can ensure that fast DC charging, essentially, like I told you, it might lead to a decreasing in the life cycle. This does not, because then because if your battery swapping every time, then you can ensure that it is slowly charging. The depleted battery is charging slowly till the other vehicles comes in. So we have a lot of what you
Yes. Yeah. Efficiency
lot of
also good.
time.
Yes.
Yeah, lot of time to ensure that the batteries are properly charged instead of fast charging and reducing their life cycle.
Yes.
The main challenges are that we have to there is a requirement of standard battery interface across multiple car manufacturers. So you have to ensure that only one type of battery and one type of battery infrastructure is used through for all the manufacturers, which is difficult because essentially you have to bring everybody together and ensure that they are agreeing on one type of standard that is to be used all throughout. And also there is a chance that there is a huge chance that a consumer might not accept that the fact that we do not own the battery, uh, we have to change it every time, because
That's it.
that means that essentially you are only buying a metallic car, not the battery. So battery is going to be changed every time, which is a bit difficult because essentially we are very used to the idea of owning something
Yes.
uh,
That also true.
rather than changing it every time.
Yeah.
So yes. So that, like I told you, there was a comparison coming up. So these are the various criteria for comparison, like convenience, cost, service time, etc. And the selection of charging technologies can be done according to requirements of the various electric vehicles. So if you are designing it for, say, for example, a new electric vehicle, then you can design the vehicle according to requirements, and then decide the charging infrastructure to be used according to the available charging infrastructure in your own country or in any country, wherever your place of origin, where you are designing that particular car and wherever you want it to be used. And then you can also, and according to your requirements for cost, etc., you can design the charging infrastructure internally in the car, and also externally you can use the appropriate charging infrastructure.
Okay.
So yeah, so for convenience, basically AC DC conductive charging is very convenient, as you all know, because it just requires a basic charging station and a onboard or offboard charger respectively. Now static and dynamic. So in static, it is a bit more convenient than dynamic, because dynamic requires that you place a lot primary coils across a particular stretch of road, while static requires only not two coils, one in the car and one in the one in the on the
Yes.
ground, essentially primary coil. And battery swap is also convenient, but like I said, the problem is that we have to ensure a standard battery interface, and also ensure what we call that consumers are ready to swap batteries regularly.
Yes.
Now the cost is the lowest for AC, followed by DC. Static and dynamic. For static, it is a bit higher than DC, and dynamic charging is very high because as I said, we require a lot of coils, which leads to increased cost for copper materials.
Yes.
And battery swap is almost as much costly as AC charging. Now
Okay.
service time, well, how much time is required to essentially charge the battery? It is relatively long. It is the DC for DC is very short. Static is relatively long, and dynamic we can have any time very flexible charging time, because we can ensure that we can have very powerful very
Yes.
powerful primary coils in the road, or we can also ensure that if you are traveling, for example, 10 kilometers, then we can ensure that even if it is low power, but we have so many primary coils attached that by the time 10 kilometers are over, then the battery is fully charged. That is also you can ensure.
Yeah.
And battery shortage, obviously, because you are just removing one and keeping a new one inside.
Yes.
So power level, AC for AC is low power level, like not low. Low means grid. How much the power level is for the grid, same as this if you are using a single phase. And for DC, it's a relatively high power level, 50 to 50 kilowatts. Static, it is on the order of AC power level only. Dynamic is bit higher than static, and battery swap essentially is also it is also flexible because we can charge it using AC or no, the swapped batteries you can charge using AC or DC. It is on our decision
Yes.
that we take.
Yes. Yes.
So the most efficient methods are AC and battery swap. Obviously, because AC even it requires longer time, but still the efficiency is high. The DC is a bit less efficient because you have to. There are a lot of it requires an off-board charger to convert the AC power to the DC power. Now the
Yes.
static is very less efficient also because of the use of the coils and there may be leakage of flux. And dynamic is the least efficient because we use so many coils that there is continuous loss of, even if little loss is there for each coil, then the losses add up and it requires to very low efficiency.
Yes. Yes.
And then the battery lifetime, essentially for AC it is a good battery lifetime we can get from charging on AC.
Mm-hmm.
DC, like I told you, battery lifetime decreases when we charge above a particular limit. Static
Yes.
also, it is on the order of AC.
Mm-hmm.
Dynamic gets the most battery lifetime because for even if there are losses, the mm, essentially when we charge at a particular intervals only during that stretch of road, then we are not charging continuously and just in motion we can charge. So that ensures that there is no particularly decrease in lifetime. And
Yes. Yes. Yes.
battery swap essentially it is a bit difficult to ensure battery lifetime because we are using it for different vehicles. Some vehicles may be trucks, some vehicles may be rickshaws. Like the
Yes. Yes.
battery needs to be ensured that we use it for the particular type of vehicles, but that is not easy, and therefore it might be a little bit shorter. And finally, the impact on the grid. So AC there is a relatively low impact on the grid. DC obviously is a high impact on the grid because we require a lot of power. 30 to 50 to 350 kilowatts is a lot of power.
Yes. Yes.
Static is on the order of AC.
Mm-hmm.
Dynamic is also a bit higher than static charging. It will impact the grid. And battery swap is same as dynamic.
Okay.
Now the standardization challenge. So standardization essentially means that adoption by the society at large, like all throughout the maybe the country or the world, whatever. Like if we are considering India, then all throughout country, what is the challenge that might come in standardizing this particular method of charging? So for
Mm-hmm.
AC and DC, they are the least what do you call challenging in order to standardize because they require only basic infrastructure, which is
Yes.
already being used throughout the country, as we will see in the next slides. The
Yes. Yes.
static. There is a bit of a standardization challenge more than AC and DC. The most standardization challenge is for dynamic and battery swap because dynamic, like I told you, is a very expensive, and even battery swap because we have to ensure that everybody accepts the fact that we have to change the batteries and there is a continuous infrastructure, continuous charging interface and battery interface that we have to standardize across the industry, not just
Yes.
a particular vehicle.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So EV policies implemented in India. So essentially,
Mm-hmm.
this government has ensured that if we have to implement the electric vehicles in the society, then we have to have some kind of policy promoting the use of electrical mobility.
Yes.
So FAME was launched in 2015 by the Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises. So FAME is essentially what? Faster adoption and manufacturing of electric hybrid vehicles in India. This is the policy, and it was launched under National Electric Mobility Mission Plan.
Okay.
Okay. So, sorry. See, it was launched to incentivize the production and promotion of eco-friendly vehicles, and these included electric vehicles as well as hybrid vehicles. And it is
Yeah.
essentially an incentive scheme for the promotion of electric and hybrid vehicles in the country. The ultimate objective of the scheme was to promote the electric mobility, and the scheme gives financial incentives for enhancing electric vehicle production and the creation of electric transportation infrastructure. So essentially, it this encompasses the entire electric vehicle industry, from right from the production to the charging. Everything is incentivized in this scheme. And
Yes.
now the
Yes.
scheme was operated in two phases. Phase one was started in 2015 and ended on 31st March 2019. And phase
Mm-hmm.
two was started from April 1st and will be completed by 31st March 2022.
Okay.
Okay, so now the EV this policy helped develop is trying to develop a very robust structure in
Mm-hmm.
throughout the country. Now the scheme essentially proposes establishing charging infrastructure charging stations throughout the country, and around 2,700 charging stations will be established in metros and other million plus cities and smart cities
Okay.
and different cities of hilly states across the country. So across the country, actually the Ministry of Heavy Industries asked for a essentially interest proposition. So different cities could ask for could say that we are interested in developing a charging infrastructure in our country, and according to the environment in the environment in the sense that what is the grid reliability, what is the economy of the particular city, and what is the if is the city on the pace to becoming a smart city, and what is the so there are a lot of factors involved in the decision from the government, but essentially it is ensures that the charging infrastructure is scattered and distributed throughout the country rather than concentrated in one place.
Yeah.
And the establishment of charging stations are also proposed on major highways connecting major city clusters.
Yes.
So
Yes.
on the highways, charging stations will establish on both sides of the road at about 25 kilometers intervals, so that there is a continuous charging facility available to the different electric vehicles. And the total allocation, around rupees 1,000 crore has been allocated for setting up charging stations for electric vehicles in India.
Okay.
Now, as you can see in this schematic, there are two types of charging stations that we have in India: slow charging station and fast charging stations. Now, minimum number of charging, so essentially charging points that are available are 10 and 6. Number of EVs to be charged simultaneously are again 10 and 6. Types of chargers mandatory. So this is the what we call the standard that is given for Indian electric
Okay.
vehicles charging. So Bharat AC 001 at 10 kilowatt. This is the standard. And for DC, this is for AC. For DC, we use the CCS2 and Shademo charger for of 50 kilowatt or higher capacity. And now, if there might be any optional chargers, that means that we might include a different combination of chargers to ensure that we can allow flexibility in terms of charging. So
Yes,
there is a
yes.
Bharat DC one gun charger and Type 2 AC charger also, and we can also include for fast charging station Bharat DC one gun and Type 2 AC charger of 22 kilowatt or higher.
Okay.
So this is a bibliography. This is all the links that I sourced my information from.
Yes. 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 Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Far. It's very informative session. So many topics we covered. All are very detailed. I will give
Yeah.
this much information. Anyone can't find on internet at any particular place. Yeah, it's a cumulative effort. I think you worked a lot. Maybe how much time it took for you to prepare everything?
Yeah, actually it took a day because actually so the main source of information are essentially my course that I did on EDX car technologies. It was
Okay.
very informative, and like I told you, this is the link. You can check it out
Yes.
afterwards.
Yes. Yeah.
It is a very
Yeah.
informative link, but still, actually the main roadblock was not the charging infrastructure information, but particularly India, because it was
Yes,
not
yes.
easy to find any information in India particularly. The
Yes.
FAME
Yes.
India policy I remembered because I had done previously essentially internship for that, and that person had discussed it. So I searched that, then I got the information.
Yeah, it's very nice, informative. I will also set up some Google alerts for these topics. Whatever FAME is there, FAME.
Yeah.
So I will set up some Google alerts for that, so that whatever happening in India in next coming days, one mail will come to me. I think you also set up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. So
Yeah.
I have a few questions.
Yeah.
So for example, what about renewable energy like solar or wind, the implementation in this sector for charging and all? Any thoughts on that? What's going on?
Yeah. So actually, essentially, renewable. So actually, there is one more type of charging that is not included in this presentation. It is not the industry norm as such. So V2G, essentially, smart charging is a very okay. I will discuss in two topics. So smart charging. First, smart charging is generally that we have to ensure a smart grid. We have to implement a smart grid so that when we can appropriately, depending on the charging times, the charging what we can say, the charging flow of charging power, we can ensure that appropriately vehicles are charged at different times, and this ensures that even there is no dearth of charging power, nor there is excessive charging power used by one particular vehicle. These are very important aspect, but because in India specifically we do not have decentralized, like decentralization of even power generation has become maybe in the past 5 to 10 years. So there is the smart charging will have to be implemented throughout the grid to ensure that we can have proper smart charging infrastructure. And secondly, V2G. So V2G is essentially vehicle to grid. This is a very important component where the electric vehicles itself are serving as a way to store the energy generated by the renewable sources. So, for example, solar, wind energy, etc. So, if, for example, as we know that solar energy, even though we get maybe 4 to 5 hours of perfect sunlight, where there is very less cloud cover and weather condition do not hamper the production of solar energy. So for that we have, but it is also very fluctuating, so that there is sometimes we may not have solar energy, and to ensure that we can have consistent solar energy production and not maybe production but consistent solar energy is maybe stored. Storage. So the storage we can use electric vehicles as storage for the solar energy. So if for example there is excessive power is being generated in the solar by the solar energy, and the grid does not require that much power, then we can store that excess power in the vehicle. That is called grid to vehicle storage. And when there is maybe less amount of energy stored in the grid, and the grid requires excessive energy, then we can give the energy back to the grid, so to ensure that there is proper balance between the two. And so the electric vehicles are a very important part of ensuring that solar energy and wind energy and all the renewable energy sources are continuously being adopted by the society, because they are an excellent source of storage that we can use. That's and true. because the renewable energy sources are very variable, we can ensure that once the energy generated, it is stored in the battery, and that ensures that we have the power when we want it.
Yes. Yeah, it's very nice. So, for example, if customer is going to the charging station where solar and all is there, so if only solar is there, for example, it may be very cloudy. He has to wait, right, for some time to charge and all.
Yeah.
So only solar is useless, right? I mean, we need any grid connectivity or any wind, something like that.
Yeah. Can so essentially, actually. So solar we can when can we use directly is only when we are, like I said, we have to be locally sustainable. So if for example we have a particular, maybe for example we have a farmhouse, just for discussion's sake. So in farmhouse, normally what happens is that many a times we can set up our own infrastructure for solar, and it is very easy nowadays to have solar energy. Maybe the cost is higher, but to implement solar energy is not that difficult nowadays. So you can implement in our farmhouse, and essentially if you want to charge our vehicle, we can charge it directly on solar energy. But we can also implement a three-way thing, like we can implement solar energy, grid, and our electric vehicle charge. So you can, like I said, again smart charging will be considered, because for example sometimes the grid may be at low power, then we can use the solar energy, and maybe the solar energy is not producing at that much power, then we can use the grid. That is also very much researchable area for smart grid, because smart grid implementation and smart charging implementation is very important to ensure that we have a very sustainable model of charging, rather than charging when we want it. We have to ensure that the cars are charged, as well as there is no adverse effect on the grid or the solar energy nor is the solar energy wasted.
Okay. Nice. So that dynamic charging, static charging, whatever we discussed, like wireless charging. So in that, generally power limitation is very true. You shown the comparison, but still I'm asking, is power limitation is that is the criteria or what? Because vehicles need some minimum power. That power when connecting through card is different, when cardless is different. What is the case?
Essentially, normally we use higher power for that wireless, because there might be a chance of leakage. So we require a higher power rather than the normal. But still, there is a limitation in terms of the safety, because if after a particular time the power might not corrupt, but destroy essentially the coils, and that may lead to safety concerns. So that is why there is a particular challenge. But still, the optimal level are actually being researched. So I can't exactly give the
Okay,
optimal
okay.
like for AC and
Yes.
DC. I was able to give a particular number, but right now I can't give, because there is so much research being done in that area that I don't exactly have a particular idea of that exact number. Maybe in the future the research will be very well clear, then we can discuss on a more deeper note.
Yeah. So one more thing, is this speed of the car has any influence on the charging level in the dynamic or
So,
static
so,
charging? Yeah.
so normally, yeah. So 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
essentially, we have for dynamic charging, we have to ensure that we travel that 10 kilometers, like whatever the distance, we have to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that we travel at a particular speed, because only that is an optimum speed that is required for that. So that optimum speed is dependent on the charging power, obviously. But
Okay.
normally what happens is that this dynamic is ensured by putting in speed breakers, by putting in places where there is a lot of not traffic as such, but lot of the already it is a slow speed area. Only there it is implemented. It's not like we have to slow down considerably, but if, for example, we have to, there is intersections, there is maybe intersection in the highway, intersection in the like stoppage in the highway. At that point, they are implemented so that not excessive speed. But and as you said, if we require a very high speed, then we have to also have a higher power, because
Yes.
only
Yes.
then
Yes.
a
Then
proper
only.
transfer can happen.
Yes. 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 That's true. Yeah. So how it will be like? Is it like fast tag pricing and all? If we consider in those
Yeah.
cases, any idea on that? For example, at entry,
So
we will take a card, like a smart card. We will just proceed out of the say some 10-kilometer stretch is there. We are just crossing the 10-kilometer stretch. There one station will be there where we can, how much power is accumulated on our car, that much we can pay. Is any understanding on that? What is there
So yeah,
actually?
so for charging payment and infrastructure, that is a whole other discussion, I must say,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
for payments it is a very deep concept. Because what happens is, for this mainly for wireless charging, we have to correctly calculate the power that is transmitted. So for this, we will have to require a completely connected charge, completely connected essentially electric vehicle. We have to connect the BMS to our phone app. So essentially, basic is apps.
That's
So
true. That's true.
any completely app developed from the ground up for that particular charging station or for that particular charging infrastructure provider. So maybe a company is providing, like Hitachi might provide essentially,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
any company that is providing. For that, they will develop an app, and then they have to connect that app to our car, and to our car has to be connected to the BMS itself, not only for communication, not connected in terms of operation, but for communication purposes, you have to connect that. And BMS also has to connect with the coils. So we have to ensure a foolproof communication. That is also very, what you can say, not difficult, but there is also a good challenge in terms of ensuring that communication is complete.
Yes, yes.
For all types of charging, not just dynamic charging, for all types of charging, we have to ensure that good, safe, and reliable communication is available to ensure that there is a proper transfer of charge, and as well as proper transfer of charge calculation. How much charge is developed, how much charge is transferred. We have to ensure a lot of communication. So communication protocols are a very important part of charging itself. Communication protocols are essentially the problem is, but there is no universal communication protocol. There are a lot of communication protocols that are being used, and
no
more
common
specifically,
one. Yes, yes.
yeah, and more specifically in EU, there are a lot of new protocol. A new protocol has come just, I think, 3 to 4 years back. That is the most up to date, and EU is continuously updating its policies on electric vehicles. But in India, right till now, there are not many protocols that have been in place. Right now, we'll see how it progresses. Hopefully, it is progressing faster than
Yeah, yes, yes, yes. That's true. It is progressing faster. Yeah, but today we discussed most of the topics clearly. So it's time to close up and wrap up for today. Yeah, but I'm planning we should do many more sessions on this topic, particularly series 1, series 2, series 3, something like that. So whatever the different contents are there, for example, only AC charging we will consider one time. Maybe how much extent is possible at circuit level also,
Yeah.
if possible.
Yeah.
So it is not like some company's information, but whatever we have as being a student or something like R&D research something. So we will just present the up to circuit level, some AC concepts, AC charger, and another session DC charger, another some dynamic. So we have 4-5 sessions here. With respect to each one, it may take some time because we don't find that much information on the internet and all. So, but only thing we should try to gather it. We should, if required, we should try to develop our own models by students also. So that thing also, I think some IIT or NIT may be doing it. If possible, we can connect with them also. So this model, this like series, different series we will do, and one session on these payments and all, how the things will tariff, mainly tariff related.
Tariff.
Generally, for example, in India, in there now itself, 1.5 rupee, 2 rupee, 3 rupee, 4 rupee, 5 rupee, some different variations are there based on energy demand. Say if it is more than 300, you need some power tariff. I think you are very much clear. So what will be the, with respect to this, in this double, triple, 4 times at 10 rupee, in, for example, say like that. So mainly what understanding we have, we should at least we should project something on that area, tariff related. We will do that one, and then this wind solar integration and the setting one. Any examples we will discuss. So some, around 10 to 15 sessions I will plan out on which day we will. It is not it's a short time. In long run, it may take some maybe 1 year or more than 6 months like that. So at least 2 weeks once or 3 weeks once we will have one session. We'll plan like that. Our combination seems very interesting. The way you presented everything is very clear, very informative. I don't want to lose you. Okay, nice part. Thanks a lot. It's very good in discussion. Bye. See you in next video. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, friends. Thanks for watching. This is about solar and other e-vehicle related chargers available in worldwide and their scenario. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you have any questions or comments or anything, you can message us. If you want to be a part of these web interviews, you can message us so that we can together discuss some good topics for the sake of knowledge sharing. So if you our final aim after some 2 to 3 years is to start some little bit startup. It will give some good boost to the engineering community. That's what our final aim of ALP Talks. Hope to understand this and act accordingly to participate in these web interviews and all. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Stay connected, guys. Subscribe to this channel. Bye. We will meet in next video.